Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Charles Derrick.
This is J Rob.
And this is Bringing the Noise. Man, J Rob, I'm going to tell you something. We have had some good guests here lately. It has just been awesome. This has been a train that me and you talked about that is, you know, it's kept going up, and I'm waiting on it to get to the top, thinking, man, we got to the top of our, where we're going to get, and it just keeps getting better and better, man. I'm super excited about this. This is great who we got on the show today. And we got some really big people coming. We've got some people on the show. We've had some people on the show that have been to the dance. And musicians, you know what I'm talking about. When I say been to the dance, I mean you've went to Nashville, you've went to LA, whatever it is, you've tried to chase that dream. And maybe you got to the dance and it didn't really happen the way that the dreams that your craziest dreams, thought that it would happen. We've had some people on the show that had been to that dance and it didn't, pan out maybe the way that, a lot of people don't even make it to the dance, never make it in the door, me included, but this guy today not only went to the dance, he succeeded at the dance.
And still dancing.
Still buck dancing. You know what I mean? Awesome. Absolutely awesome to have him on the show today. And I'm going to tell you something. This guy right here can perform at a bar on a Saturday night, tell his story, turn around and tell people about God, and turn around and, and invite them to the Sunday service he's going to be at close by the next day. Changing people's lives. I've never seen anything like it in my 16 years that I've been in the music business and doing this. Never seen anything like that. And if you want my opinion on that, we'll get to that. I'm going to save some of that. But more on Jeff. He's had 3 albums chart on the U.S. Country Billboard charts. 7 songs chart on the U.S. Country Billboard charts. The guy has 3.4 million views on One Second Chance music video on YouTube. I said at 3.4 million, guys. Okay. Has nearly 5.5 million views on the Vivo channel, the Jeff Bates Vivo channel on YouTube. That's insane, guys. Insane. He was signed with Warner Brothers publishing deal. I believe that's correct. Am I right about that, Jeff?
Yeah.
In 99. Signed with RCA in late 2002. The guy has a fall from grace story that will absolutely floor you, and a redemption story in this career that probably was not even thought could even happen when that fall from grace happened. Unbelievable story in and out here, and chances that most people only dream of. The guy also has a 10-year-old daughter, Brianna. And I'm going to tell you something. The guy, I had the honor of him being on a music video with me, and this cat pulled a gun on me. We got Jeff Bates on the show tonight.
How long has it been? How long have you held it in? And how long will you wait before you let somebody take your breath away again? I wanna be the one who turns you on, makes love till the lonely's gone. Be the man you've dreamed of all your life. I swear I'll make it last until tears of joy come pouring from your eyes. I wanna make you cry.
What's going on, man?
Where's my gun? It's great to see you again, Charles. J-Rob, it's good to see you.
Man, we sure appreciate the heck out of you being on here with us, man. We've been really looking forward to this.
I don't know what we're going to talk about now after everything you said.
He's already spilled all the beans.
I started sitting here feeling like I was somebody.
Let me tell you something. You are absolutely. Look, this is just the accolades, okay? We have no idea. I've heard a lot of your stories. I've watched a lot of the videos, you know, and even some of the Sunday stories. I've heard, you know, there's some of these stories are so deep. I don't think there's no way we could cover it all in a show. We could probably take one of these things and make a whole show about it, you know?
Yeah.
And was there also, I didn't even put in there Tracy Lawrence, a song written for Tracy Lawrence. And Lord only knows how many shows, how many people this guy has done shows with. Hell, I know he's done my buddy, somebody I think's great, Doug Stone. He's done shows with just about everybody, it seems like.
Well, I've been truly blessed, first of all. But I think I've done a show with y'all, haven't I?
Man, I know we've done that music video.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I know I was at a couple of them.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I know we tried to cross paths a couple of times. I know we were in the same town one time because I texted you guys, but y'all were at the other venue in town. And
yeah,
and
we both got arrested.
You killed us that night. Took all the crowd.
It's a lot of fun, you know. I live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It's just about 30 miles south of Nashville right now, and I still am blessed to have a lot of people in Mississippi still have me come back home, you know. And I look forward to every time, man, I get to see people that I either grew up with or guys like you that I've met in the business, and it's always cool. It's great to have good friends. It's great. It's even better to have great Mississippi friends, and it's the best to have friends like you. I tell you,
I appreciate that.
You've sent a lot of work my way, and I appreciate that too.
I appreciate that.
You're an enterprising young man.
Well, I put up the status the other day. Money comes and goes. Things come and go, but love is where it's at. And I know that sounds cheesy, but when you really believe in love, even though it's you know, with that kind of respect, and what I mean by love is truly caring for another human being, you know, it don't, you know, and I get that realism, you know, and I meant to say that also in the accolades. Look, Jeff is a realist. When he's telling, and this is what I picked up from it, when you're telling that story at a church and you're talking to those people, you're talking to them like a realist. And I even heard you say sometimes the lines of the guy that's judging back here, or the guy that's, you know, tapping his watch saying it's time to, you know, wrap this up or whatever, you know, or thinking that you're better than somebody else somewhere else, or, you know, you're not going to lead people to Christ that way. You're not going to have them listen to you, you know.
Right.
And there's a lot of social, I call it social standards. A lot of people trying to live in those social standards, you know.
Well, it's the social standards, and then it's always interesting to watch church. Now, and understand I'm talking about the church house.
Mm.
There's a difference.
That's right.
Between God's church and the church house. There's a difference between the church that Jesus Christ was talking about lots of times and the congregation that fills the church. Jesus wasn't about denominations and fancy buildings. What did he say? The Son of Man has no place to lay his head. He didn't own a house. He could have. But his intent and purpose from the moment that he got here till the moment he left here was to wake people up to the true nature of God and God's love and God's grace. We, on the other hand, have been, we get caught in a trap of judgment, and that starts with the mirror. And there's a very clever scripture in the Bible says that you will be judged to the extent that you judge others. And I'm not here to preach. You just got me started on
I opened up Pandora's box.
Man.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you kind of did, but I'll close the lid pretty quick. Just let me say this.
Fine.
It's you can be the most schooled pastor, preacher, minister, church operator, the most schooled and educated psychologist, psychiatrist, and all that stuff, and you're not going to you're not going to outdo Jesus. You're not going to outdo our Creator, because He knows how we tick better than we could ever figure it out. And for Him to say that meant simply this: we learn to judge other people by how we feel about the person in the mirror. And we will spend most of our lives trying to feel better about the person in the mirror. And the most base part of our humanity, our ego, if you will, is the only way a lot of people know how to feel better about themselves is if they can find something wrong with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So you will be judged by self. That's before you even get to God, by the same way you judge other people. If I'm hard on you, I'm going to be double hard on me. And it's going to be a miserable life. So if we can ever get to the point to where we can say, God, I don't know how to fix me, but you do, because you made me. And I'm willing to do the work, and I'm willing to be honest, and I'm willing to do all this stuff if you'll do the changing, if you'll do the fixing. Because I realize that I can't fix squat, but you can. I'm just willing to do the work. Show me what to do. And that's what Christ came to teach us. That's where God's mercy, endless grace comes into play right there. And what Christ came to die on the cross for, so that we could say, thank you. I believe that you did that for me. And I believe you did that. You would have done that just for me if I was the only guy on the planet. What can I do to be a better human being? Teach me, and become teachable, and be willing to do the work. That's it. Starts a whole new life. Are we going to do it perfect? Crap, no. Can we have fun doing it? Absolutely.
And me and J-Rob actually talked about a lot of this stuff lately, because me and him both have changed a lot since 2010, and since the time we were together at that time, and we've been back in each other's lives now for a year and a half.
Yeah.
But you can fool a lot of people, but you can't fool the guy in the mirror. You can't fool the guy in the mirror. You can't fool yourself. You can make people think that you're this, whatever, but you can't fool the guy in the mirror, and you're not perfect. But you try to do the best you can every day, and you try to live and you try to learn. I mean, that's all you can do. And at the end of the day, like I said, the Lord up above is going to judge you. Was it good enough? And all of your, fixing and trying and regrouping and,
Well, that's something you said too. Everything you said was wonderful. That was great. But something that just stuck out there toward the end, talking about being teachable, that applies to so many things in life, man. I mean, to drop ego enough to realize, okay, I don't have this. I'm not good here. What can I get from other people, help, and be willing to accept that? That's a broad thing.
It is, but that's what God's amazing about, is God he paints in broad strokes. But he also paints with a single bristle of a brush. He's just as heavy into one side as he is the other. And it's dependent upon what we're open to. God don't never move, we do. But the way that God does move is he's always moving toward us. And we can run our whole lives and he'll let us. I ran until I was 37 years old. Woke up in jail, recovering meth addict now. But I was a meth addict then. I went to jail for grand theft. Wake up in jail and you realize that you have really seriously, first of all, hurt yourself your entire life. And then you realize that you've hurt everybody that you knew and that you cared about in life. You can't even call one friend up and not have something that you need to apologize for. That was me at 37 years old. And so that was the prayer. Fall down right beside that little cot. I know I'm looking at a sentence of 6 to 15 years. I mean, I've messed up big time. My life as I've known it is over at that point. No going back. And so I got real, first of all, with me. Then I got real with God. Okay, Lord. And I fell down by my bed and I said, what I told you a while ago, I don't know how to fix me. I'm looking at a sentence of 6 to 15 years and I'm not even going to ask. I would feel guilty asking you to get me out of this jam. But I will ask you to not let me stay here 15 years and walk out of here being the same person that I've always been. I don't want to be that guy anymore. And I don't know how to fix me, but you made me. You do. And I'm willing to do the work. And that's the best starting point in the world. And some, y'all probably ain't as hard-headed as me. That's how far down I had to go. The only place left to go was up.
Well, I know I've been pretty hard-headed about a lot of things, and I had to kind of, you can't keep on, like they say about the definition of insanity, you can't keep on doing the same things, expecting different results. You're going to have to make a change and want to make a change, like not just because somebody says you got to. You really got to want to and deep inside.
Yeah, you do.
All right. Well, since I opened up that Pandora's box, this has got me. I see where we're at here. So we're talking about, just to clue people in that may not know anything about you, except for we know he's a name. We know he's he's got some hits, kind of thing. What we're talking about is around the 99 year range, 1999,
2001.
Now
I started using in 99.
Correct. And something about Jeff, let's reverse here and let me find out about some stuff that I don't know. I mean, I know that you're adopted, right?
Yeah, proudly.
And that's what brought you to Mississippi.
Yes.
From Georgia.
Alabama.
I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. All right. So from Alabama to Mississippi. And all right, let's kind of, how supportive was you? And when did you start to get the fever for the music business and for for the guitar and for singing, and where did all that start happening? And just get me there, because I don't know anything about that stuff.
I started singing when I was 2 years old. I don't remember it, but I know my mama, the mother, that's the only mama I know is the mama who raised me, the mama who adopted me. She didn't have to, but she did. But she told me the story of her father having cancer, dying, and she set me on the side of the bed when I was 2 years old, and I sung "Yes, Jesus Loves Me," while she held his hands up to pray, so he could pray with his hands up. And that's how he died, with me singing and her holding his hands up, praying with him. That's how long I've been singing. And we grew up country now, dude. I'm talking, I always joke and say we live so far back out in the woods, we had to drive toward town to go hunting. That's serious. Grass grew in the middle of the road in front of our house.
Yeah.
There was no traffic other than the mailman a couple of times a week. But my mama, we lived out in the woods. We couldn't hardly, there was no TV. I don't think we had a TV until I was 12 or 13 years old. But we spent time telling stories. When it was just me, she would tell me stories about her growing up. And, you don't know at the time that all the storytelling you're going to wind up using that in songwriting later on. But I love those stories. And she taught me the Bible the same way. But we would sing. Her dad, her father, was a Pentecostal holiness preacher who was also an alcoholic. So 6 months period of his life, he might be preaching from a stump. The next 6 months, he's off the wagon and drunk and selling his kids, for a bottle of wine. She had a very tough life, but she never let it get her down. And she always remembered the good times and all these funny stories she would tell me. And we would sing those old gospel songs together that she grew up singing in church. She was raised in Bogalusa, Louisiana, in a shack with a dirt floor on the bank of the Pearl River. And I took all that stuff to heart, and she had so much, one of the best singers I ever heard in my life that nobody ever heard. Mm-hmm. But if you didn't sing for my mama like you meant it, she'd reach over and pop you behind the head. Open your mouth and sing, boy. Live that song. And that's how I was taught. And so when I was about 11 years old, I started going to church with a friend, mainly because I liked a girl named Margaret Sue. I'm being honest. And it was a non-denominational sort of Pentecostal church. They had a band. And man, when I saw the guitar players up there, I wanted to do that so bad. And so I asked one of them to teach me. I said, hey, will you teach me how to play guitar? And he says, listen, boy, if you really want to learn to play guitar, there ain't nobody can stop you. But I'll show you what I know. He said it'll take about 5 minutes, and he taught me 7 chords, A through G, F, A, B, C, F, G, F, G. Yeah, it's G. And everything else I learned on my own from watching other people and pick up stuff here. And that was when it started. I'd been playing for about a year. Leonard Maxwell came over. He lived across the woods from us. And he pulled up in the driveway, and he got in his car, and he says, hey, you still playing that acoustic guitar? And I said, yes, sir. He said, can you play a banjo? I said, a what? He said, a banjo. I said, I don't know. He said, well, you got 2 weeks to learn how. We got a gig in Rocky Creek or something like that. And so I worked on that thing day and night, man. And 2 weeks later, we played at the school. I opened up with Foggy Mountain Breakdown, playing with 2 fingers. I know it sucked, but that's been in my heart and my soul. That was a long answer to a short question, but that's been in my heart and soul my entire life. First time I heard Conway Twitty, I thought, oh my God, this guy, he sang stuff that says things that I wish I knew how to say, Mm-hmm. Elvis. I wanted to be Elvis until I figured out there was one. But man, those guys were great. And then all the old blues singers from up and around the Delta, and they could sing so good. And of course, the country guys, there's Willie and Waylon and Merle and George, these standards. I loved hearing the stories about those guys because they were living, And you don't know when you're young, it turns into self-fulfilling prophecy, and all of a sudden you wake up and you say, dang, I about lived as rough a life as George did a few times, But my whole life, I've been ate up with it.
Now, did you and Conway ever meet?
Never did.
I mean,
It was a weird situation. I hired an entertainment lawyer because I didn't know any better when I first came to Nashville. I actually met him through Danny Shirley and Confederate Railroad. He was their entertainment lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I had moved to Little Rock, Arkansas by that time. And Philip was great. He's a huge George Jones fan. And he told me, he says, well, I'd love for you to come to Nashville, but we already got a Conway Twitty, so you just stay in Arkansas. So 1993, I believe, the day Conway Twitty died, Philip called me and he says, I don't know if you've heard this or not yet, but Conway Twitty died today. He said, come on to Nashville. It's a good time for you. And so that started mine and his relationship. And, I didn't really set out to sound like Conway Twitty. Boy, I sure got accused of it a lot. It's just a style thing, I think.
It's a lot of similarities. That old Mississippi bluesy sound.
Well, that guy there was so unassuming, He knew a good song and he knew how to pick one for himself. And he always viewed himself as Conway. He was Harold to him. Conway Twitty was like a suit he put on. That was his business. Uh-huh. And he spoke of himself as Harold, speaking about Conway Twitty. In the third minute, does that make sense?
Yeah. What would Conway do in this
what
situation?
Would Conway? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that. And so he was pretty unique in that respect. I think I've heard Garth Brooks do that before. But he understands, and I used to think, man, what an ego. No, it's really not. It's understanding what your business is and what your person is. And they're two different things lots of times. Mm-hmm. So Conway guarded his business very well. Now, when I signed with RCA Records and we went out and did the radio tour the first time, I had the best bus driver in the world. It was Bill Parks. Became great friends. And if you don't know who Bill Parks is, he drove Conway Twitty for 27 years. Nice. They were best friends. Yeah. So I got to hear all those
stories. Yeah.
Yeah. It was great, man. Like one of Conway's big things, when he come off the stage after he signed autographs, he was going to go to the bus. He would buy bologna in the big sticks, He'd cut him off a piece of a little over a quarter of an inch thick. And he'd fry it right there on the bus and make him a fried bologna sandwich after every show.
Wow.
Until he got too fat, and then he'd have Bill out there timing him while he ran circles around the parking lot or something.
He was my very first concert I ever went to. My mom was a Conway freak, and I got to see him when I was little at the Mid-South Coliseum.
I went when I was 17 years old. That was my first concert. I went to the Mississippi State Coliseum, Biloxi, to see George Jones, Merle Haggard, and Conway Twitty.
Wow.
George showed out. And I remember getting there and being a little nervous because I'd never been anywhere in my whole life, I was adopted. My mama was always afraid somebody was going to come steal me. So she didn't let me out until I just got too big for her to keep me home. But I get there and I realize that it's me there and 30,000 women. And part of me
can only imagine.
Yeah. Part of me was scared to death, and the other part was like,
place to be.
All right. I like girls, I married a bunch of them. But,
can you imagine? Honestly, let's be honest here. Being Conway Twitty and having crazy. That type of an appeal. You're not a regular dude. You know what I'm saying? You're not
some Elvis type stuff,
dude.
Man.
Dude. You would absolutely have to lock yourself in a room to keep that, those women off of you.
Here was what was wild. George came out and he sung all those George Jones songs, man, and he did his thing, And at one point, George looks out of the crowd and they're loving him, right? And George says, "Yeah, I tell y'all what, y'all keep on carrying on like this, we'll all be here all night." And the crowd went wild. And George walked off stage. Merle Haggard comes out and sung songs about all our lives, You don't even know it at the time, but I loved him. I miss those guys. But then the weird thing happened at the Coliseum is every light, when Merle left the stage, every light in the Coliseum went out. It was pitch black. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm sitting here in the dark with 30,000 girls. Life's good, pig. And the only time I ever saw this happen in my entire life is 30,000 women got completely and totally silent, did not say one single freaking word. And then right there in the dark, with everybody being quiet, you hear this voice say, "Hello, darling. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. You're just as lovely as you used to be. How's your new love? Are you happy? Hope you're doing fine. Just to know it means so much to me." Goodbye, darling. I gotta go now. Gotta try to find a way to lose these memories of a love so warm and true. And if you should ever find it in your heart to forgive me, come back, darling. I'll be waiting for
Yes.
And the
Heck
women
yes.
went crazy.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, and I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life right then. I want to drive women crazy like Conway Twitty and Elvis Presley. Not because I'm pretty or anything like that, but because if you can get real and vulnerable and open your heart and sing what you really feel about somebody, that one special somebody, whoever it is, then you're going to be singing what everybody feels. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to do. I just want to sing what people feel. Sometimes it's about love and making love, and then other times it's about God and Jesus and hard times and growing up in Mississippi. It's country music, dude.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and be careful. You might get what you wish for, because you actually got what you wish for. And not everything that glitters is gold, I mean, I say this line all the time. People will even talk about, our careers and stuff, and talk about, man, you just, that's awesome. You was able to do this and do that and everything. And I said, let me tell you something. I said, not even talking about me. Let's just talk about somebody huge. Like, let's just say if we was to go and talk to Tom Cruise, right? I guarantee he could sit here and bitch and complain about how things ain't so just rosy in Tom Cruise's world. You know what I mean?
Right. You can. It's a lot of hard work. It is a lot of disappointment. It is a lot of sacrifice. But here's why Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. And I know this because not because I met him, but because I read a lot, first of all. Second of all, knowing people that know Tom Cruise. There's a guy who is so self-disciplined. He works up every day. He wakes up every day and works on being the best Tom Cruise he can be. And he hones his craft constantly, and he never gets to the point to where he thinks he knows it all. And if you can do that, then you're going to move some mountains. It may not be exactly the ones you planned on moving, but you're going to wake up every day and you're going to be the best Charles, and you're going to be the best J-Rob. And if we do that consistently, half the time, just half the time, miracles can happen.
Mm-hmm.
See, when I go to jail, I didn't realize when I went to jail that I had just signed like 6 months before I went to jail. I had just signed as a songwriter with Warner Chappell Music in Nashville. My first check, of course, they back paid me, was like $13,000. I'd never seen that. I'm a logger and a welder. I'd never seen $13,000 in my life. I thought I'd hit the big time, but I'm in the middle of a meth addiction. And so one week I'm doing a showcase with Warner Brothers, and Luke Lewis from Mercury Records comes out and sees me, and he says, be in my office on Monday morning. I want to talk to you about Mercury Records. And that's what I worked my whole life toward, right? Except Monday morning, I couldn't go to Luke's office because I was in jail. That, you see what I'm saying?
Mm.
It was over. It was gone. Every opportunity that I had worked so hard for, I also took away from myself. 1 year to the day after walking out of jail. And when I got out of jail, I didn't go play. I mean, I played at a little bar for a guy named Tim and Louds. Tim was one of the few people. He came to see me while I was in jail. I only had 2 or 3 visitors while I was there. I said, who are you? And he says, you know what? I saw you play at this place. And he said, and then I saw in the paper where you got put in jail. And he says, I just had to come see you and tell you I love you and I'm praying for you. He didn't know me from Adam, right? But when I got out of jail, he let me play at his little bar. And a lot of musicians wouldn't play with me anymore. Talk bad. Even the ones who were doing the same thing I was doing, because I got caught, right? And but it was crazy. So anyway, I got my first paycheck. I started paying people back that I'd stolen from, and just said, God, whatever you want to happen is okay with me. I'm not chasing a record deal anymore. I'm not chasing anything but you. And 1 year to the day almost of walking out of jail, I get a call from RCA Records. And they want to talk to me. They want to meet the person that they're hearing on the demos of Long Slow Kisses and I Want to Make You Cry and that kind of stuff. I was scared to death. And I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to do this. But again, I let go of all the outcome of it. Whatever you want to happen is okay with me. I went and sung 3 songs. We talked about Conway Twitty. And I thanked them for their time. And I drove home and I said a prayer on the way home. Lord, whatever you want to happen is okay. That's fine with me. And when I walked in the front door of my little apartment, the phone rang, and it was RCA, Joe Galante. He called, he says, we would like to offer you a recording contract with RCA Records. And I sat down on the floor and I cried like a baby. And I could tear up now about it, because my whole life I chased that and tried to make it happen. And you know how we are. If you're driven, you got goals and you want things to happen. And you know, every way I knew how to try to make a record deal happen, I tried and I failed. And the moment I let go and said, okay, Lord, I just want to be what you want me to be. What do you want me to be? Then I get a record deal. Insanity. That's how God works.
Now, and I'm sure a lot of people that may be watching have heard, a lot of this. I'm still wondering about, and I hate to rewind on you, I'm still wondering about this time from 70s, 80s, leading up to the 90s, what all happened in there. Well, I mean, was you playing bars and stuff before you went to Nashville? I mean, what all, was there some bands in there? I mean, what all happened?
Yeah, I played at Colonial Steakhouse in Columbia, Mississippi. That was my first paying gig. I was working in the oil field for George Bird Construction, and the night that I got, I showed up. The piano player, he takes me he says, why don't you come down here and sing for Jesse? And, he might give you a Friday, Saturday gig down there, give you $25 or so for singing a couple nights a week. I said, okay. So I was kind of nervous and scared to death. They called me up on stage. It was a packed house, and I sung a Merle Haggard song, a George Jones song, and a Conway Twitty song. And then they asked me to sing one more, and I sung Elvis. And the crowd went crazy. And I didn't know if they was mad at me or if they were cheering for me, because everybody was drunk, having a great time. And Jesse, the owner, met me coming off the stage. He says, how'd you like to come to work for me? 6 nights a week. I'll give you $50 a night. I thought, that's more than I'm making working 50 hours a week in the oil field,
Uh-huh.
So he handed me a bass guitar and told me I had till Monday to learn to play it. And so I called George Bird and told him I quit the oil field. I was going in the music business. My daddy was livid. And started right there. Moved around from club to club. There was only 2 clubs in Columbia, Mississippi. One was the Colonial Steakhouse, and the other was a VFW. So about 6 months, about all you could play for Jesse. You get mad, and he'd either run you off, or you get mad and quit, and then you go to the other club and play 6 months. Did that for a couple of years. Then played Hattiesburg and around, and I started with a Cool Water band. We got on the first time I rode the bus. Then I moved to Little Rock, Arkansas. Put together Southern Storm, and had my first studio experience then. It was a lot of fun. We actually have that CD, still settled out on the road. Jeff Bates at Southern Storm. It's 25th anniversary edition 2 or 3 years ago. But so probably 10,000 of those within a 400-mile radius of Little Rock, Arkansas. And then started going to Nashville and meeting way better players. And, it was a lot of fun. Stayed busy all the time.
Now, was that place that Debbie Dukes had over at Columbia? Was that building? Was that back then? Was it around? What was that?
That was the original Colonial Steakhouse.
I'll be dadgum. All right.
Yeah, I met my first 3 wives there. I'm kidding. I met my first wife there.
I'll be dadgum. I had a feeling, because I was like, man, this place just seems like it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, that was the original Colonial Steakhouse.
We played there a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fun, man. But
Columbia sure is different than it was back then. It was probably more happening in Columbia back then than it is these days.
Oh, if you were me, it was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
It was, Columbia didn't feel like a small town to me until I went to a bigger town.
Yep. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, though. A lot of great players. A lot of them gone, too, man.
So bringing us back now so we're at about the 2001 range of, the meth addiction and then getting put in jail and then how long was it afterwards of getting the deal with RCA, from the jail stint? How did all that happen right there? This would have been 01.
That would have been in
was it late 2002? RCA was when you signed with RCA.
I was arrested on March 14th, 2001.
Okay.
And I signed with RCA in 2002. And my first single was The Love Song that came out in 2003.
Gotcha.
And that was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of work, you know.
The radio tour, the radio touring, and the who all was on that? Who all was on that radio touring?
That was just me and Kenny Beard, and every now and then would take a guitar player just as a ringer, you know. But I play guitar, so you'd be shocked at how many people can't just sit down and do what we do, and that's grab a guitar and just sing, you know. So you got to take a bunch of people with you. But we kept it small. Kenny was great, man, because he had spent so many years on the road with Tracy Lawrence, you know, and he knew how it all worked. He knew a lot of the radio people out there, so he traveled with me and co-produced me, and showed me the ropes and really helped me with self-confidence, you know, a lot. Because at that level, it's so different. But I know, man, it's like the first year we did like 125 fly dates, just going across the country. You know, meeting radio people, a lot of great people in radio. Don't ever take this wrong. But then you got a few. And like I had one guy in Texas looked at me when he heard Long Slow Kisses the first time. He says, "Hey, you sang, we talk." And I thought, yeah, but hey, baby, you know, they didn't like. So that was why we actually have Long Slow Kisses on the first RCA album, and on the second one went back in and added a little more melody to the verses, so they couldn't just say that I'd talked all with them.
Oh, okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
That one is my favorite.
Is it really?
Kisses. Yep.
It was the first song I wrote when I moved to Nashville.
And so the push at that time was really, really strong. So the demands of you was really, really strong from RCA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And was there a lot of just regular touring too on top of the radio stuff? I mean, did y'all do a lot of festivals and stuff too, or?
Oh yeah. Well, my first gig for RCA was, you know, Brooks and Dunn had the Red Dirt Road Tour going at that time, and so Joe Galante and Kenny Beard and Ronnie Dunn, Kix Brooks, they all sat down and talked one day about me opening the show for them, coming out on tour with them. So my first year as a Nashville national recording artist was out on the road with those guys. So it was me and Brad Paisley and Rascal Flatts and Brooks and Dunn. That was an eye opener, because if you know, you go get a bus and all of a sudden you're gone, and you come home maybe 1 or 2 days a week on that tour if you weren't too far away, and you're right back out on the road and you're gone. And I fell in love with being on the bus. I'd rather sleep in my bunk still on the bus than I had in my own bed. Old Road Dog had a great band and good guys, still friends with all of them. They became my family. And what happens on the bus stays on the bus. But we had a great group of guys who were not only amazing and talented, but they understood my background and where I came from, the addiction, you know, and recovery and all that kind of stuff. So we had no alcohol. We had nothing, no drugs, nothing on this bus. I had a group of guys that would tell you a dirty joke and turn right around and say a prayer with you. And that was for 9 years, just every weekend. It was the most amazing time of my life.
Guess that threw you out into a lot of exposure going out on the tour with them right off the bat, man. I mean,
Yeah. It was a lot, it started out as I was singing while people were coming and being seated, but as that was at the same time the love song was a single. So as the love song became more popular and became a hit song, and then all of a sudden, people are coming to shows a little earlier so they can see me and build an incredible fan base that still stays with me today. The Women on a Mission. They just took them a line out of one of my songs, and that they are. I don't think there are fans nowhere in the world that is as loyal as country music fans. If you love them, they'll love you back.
And that song, by the way, was a top 10, I believe.
Yeah.
Billboard country chart.
Number 7. Yeah. I quit counting that stuff.
And the only reason I say that is to let, maybe musicians know what, this is stuff most people in the world don't ever reach it to, musicians wise. You just don't. This is far-fetched stuff, man. That's huge. That's huge.
It was to me for poor Mississippi, poor boy from, and when I mean poor, I mean not pitiful. I mean poor. Poor boy from Mississippi, Bunker Hill, Mississippi. And Joe Galante with RCA, he looks at me. He ran RCA, and he looks at me and he says, "Do you realize that there's more people gets to play professional football than there is gets to do what you're getting to do right now?"
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And that put it into perspective to me. So I still feel blessed all these years later. I just celebrated my 20th year being drug and alcohol free.
Hey, congratulations, man.
Thank you, man.
Wonderful.
Oh God. I just do the work, show up.
I hear you.
But 20 years and I still stay busy. Even during the COVID stuff, man, we've stayed busy quite a bit.
That's great.
You are one of the few in entertainment.
Well, you got to find, this, you got to find new ways to skin the cat. Okay, we got to do social distance. All right. Okay, well, we can't have all these people in these buildings. All right, well, let's go outside and do fire pit parties. And you can social distance out there, and I can too, and we can have a blast. It's the music business. You got to find new ways to do what you love doing.
Ever evolving.
Ever evolving. Now more than ever.
Yeah, there's a lot of our colleagues that were doing 200 shows a year and stuff. And down to some of them 3, 4 shows last year and stuff like that. And it's just like, it killed them. They had to get those PPE loans or whatever, just stuff just to try to make it through the year.
Well, I ain't no different, but my daddy always told me this right here. He said, "Don't ever leave $1 laying on the table. Don't ever think you're too good to work for $1. Because you might be working for 10 today and you might be working for 1 tomorrow. Don't pass 1 up to go get 10. See if you can get it on the way." So it's about your work ethic.
So this was those years you're talking about was the RCA years, and then the years with what was the next label name, right?
Black River. Yeah.
Black River. That's right.
Yeah.
And those years at the beginning with Black River as well, there was still some push and there was still some chart stuff going on and still a lot, who else? Throw some of these names at some of these people maybe listening here that you did some shows with, if you can remember some of these names. Over the whole time, even here, past 10 years, whatever. But some of these names, just to put it in perspective with some people, just like you said, the analogy about the football team, not having, if you're in the NFL, you still, people in the NFL don't have the career that somebody has this kind of chance to get to do. It's the same thing when people are sitting here listening to something like this. If they hear some of these names and they're like, "Oh man, I love that guy. Oh my God, dude, he's that kind of thing."
I got to play with. I got to do shows with heroes. I got to do work with George Jones. Got to work with Jamie Johnson and Mark Chestnut, Mark Wills, Trent Willman, Joe Diffie, God rest his soul,
Yeah.
Trace Atkins. Trace Atkins has been great to me. Tracy Lawrence. I've worked with more people than I haven't worked with. Always a lot of fun, and I always enjoy it because it makes me competitive a little bit because I want to go out there and sing with them and sing the best I can. But on the other hand, it's humbling, and you can always learn something from somebody else. Like it's just I had a blast with all those guys. I got to go to Japan with Mark Wills and Trent Wilmer and that crew there, and we had such an incredible time. You sit down, you go sit there in the audience, and I have people come up to me a lot of times and say, "You know what, man, you sound just as good live as you do on the record. You sound just like yourself." And a lot of people don't do that, and I didn't realize that until you go out there and sing. And people, I've been blessed to work with incredibly talented people that sound like they sound on the radio, And if you think that's not impressive, go sit in the audience and watch Ronnie Dunn walk out on the stage and sing all those hit songs and just nail it night after night after night. And you realize what an amazing talent that guy is. And all these guys this way. Jamie Johnson opened his old talking mouth like this, and he just starts singing. It just rolls out of it,
Mm-hmm.
Golly. Those Mark Wills, one of the best singers I ever heard in my life. You talk to Trent Willman, and Trent will tell you that he's one of the worst singers that he knows, but he's not. He's incredible. All these guys, for a younger generation now, I guess I get to be part of that, help pave the way. People that paved the way for me were like George Johnson, Merle Haggard, and Waylon and Willie. And I don't know, it's cool to be associated with those guys because they were people that I grew up admiring, emulating, just same as you, man.
That puts things in a whole different perspective though, right there, because a lot of our friends, and colleagues and stuff, a lot of people in this business, they may get to the level where they get to open up for somebody that's of some kind of magnitude, or maybe coming back down the ladder or whatever. And they'll talk about that one time that they opened up for somebody, the rest of their days, Yeah. But the kind of catalog you're talking about and the kind of stuff you're talking about is, puts it in perspective.
Man,
big
it's
time.
incredible.
Yeah.
But it's, you know what? I don't think about it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember sitting at Mississippi Tank Company in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, running a gouger, gouging out, burning it up, man, gouging out a welding seam so I could weld the backside of it and hope that it would X-ray 100%, And I had my little pad right here in my pocket, and I'd look around and see if my boss was around here. Wouldn't I pull the thing out and I'd write down a song idea on it, stick it back in there. I remember logging, running the chainsaw, and having song ideas and just sing all day long out there in the woods. Couldn't a soul hear me. And I never forget that part of it either. And I think the most important thing from that part until the part where you're getting to make music with all these other guys is don't ever give up. Don't ever stop believing in yourself. But I always do it first because you love it. Because if you don't love it, it'll break your heart in the wrong way. And if you do love it, you can accept the heartbreak and grow from it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you later is, advice to somebody coming into the business.
Educate yourself. Not, I mean, go to school, get that education. But if you're, whatever part of the music business you want to be in, whether it be songwriting, performing, or whatever, educate yourself. Don't just decide, well, I'm going to pick up the guitar and start playing tomorrow, and I'm going to go get me a record deal because, and you hear a lot of old timers talk about paying your dues. You got to pay your dues. You got to pay your dues. Well, it really ain't about paying your dues. It's about educating yourself and learning your craft. It's a craft. It's songwriting. If you want to be a songwriter, go educate yourself. Pick lyrics apart. Kenny Beard told me, a lot of number ones that guy had, and he said he would take old yellow legal pad and he'd listen to a song and he would write down the lyrics to it. He would look at the structure of it and see what words worked, what words didn't work, and that kind of thing. And then the last thing would be always be hanging out with people, trying to meet people that are in the business you want to be in. Because on your way up, you're going to meet a lot of people, and you're going to meet those same people on your way back down. So build those relationships.
Seems like I heard that story from something about like, I want to say it was Travis Tritt and maybe it was Brantley Gilbert. I think Travis Tritt was maybe opening the show now or something. And Brantley Gilbert was closing it. This was years ago. And basically that same thing was said. They didn't give Travis Tritt enough room to do his acoustic set at the front of the stage, and he basically told Brantley Gilbert's manager that, hey, look, you let him know that he's going to see the same folk, when he's on his way back down, and dealing and, because making it difficult on him,
I need to show a little respect there.
He felt disrespected is what I took it. Yeah.
Yeah. I always try to be so aware of that because I feel that way. Like, in the middle of Long Slow Kisses is a single. We did a show with Exile. I mean, there's a group of guys that have had so many freaking hits,
Yeah.
And they're opening for me. And so I felt embarrassed. And I said, guys, I would be perfectly all right today and would prefer it if y'all would let me open for y'all. He said, no, we can't do that. I mean, we're okay, man. We're okay opening you. I said, yeah, y'all going to kick my rear, And come on, look at all the hits. I would have it frustrated me for them.
Yeah.
Because I didn't deserve that spot. I hadn't had nearly the success those guys had, and they were so nice and so cool about it. And
well, see, that's what makes you cool right there.
Right.
It goes back to being a realist. You are a realist, and you even show that here. And that's what me and J-Rob are. I mean, realist to the bone, even if it's something that don't necessarily, pet your ego on the back. It's still your real point of view. And I think people love you more when you do that.
Well, and the fact remains, you did deserve that spot, obviously, but that you respected them enough to care, and feel that way. That's pretty special. You wasn't walking around out there with this ego like, yeah, so-and-so was opening for me. That's garbage.
It's like, listen, fame is fleeting. And fame is, it's way overrated. Then there's, and I hadn't even achieved the level of fame that a lot of people have achieved, to me, I just want to be known as the guy that sung What You Felt. You're back to that, you know, because I've been able to been where you walk in somewhere and get mobbed, and then I've been where you walk in somewhere and you wish somebody would buy you an egg.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm in a Waffle House and I'm broke. I think you can't forget where you come from and where you started. And because if you don't, then you can always appreciate where you are a lot more. And at the end of the day, it's about going to bed grateful for the day you had, even if it wasn't the best day you ever had.
You know, it's back to that, what we was talking about earlier, before we started the podcast, I believe it was, is perspective. And, you know, feeling blessed is looking at your day or your life or whatever it may be in a different perspective, and stepping outside your, you know, I'm mad at the world box for a minute and looking at how great everything really truly is compared to, you know, and I've said this analogy a bunch of times. That's why they do take NFL football teams to St. Jude's Hospital in Memphis or something like that, is to be like, hey, you don't realize how great of a thing you've got. Look at this young person here that maybe is only going to live another 6 months, you know, and they've got a smile on their face. Yeah.
I went to that hospital 3 times, I think. And I got to tell you what, I thought it was going to break me.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked out of there more inspired than I'd ever been in my entire life by a bunch of kids that were, a lot of them were terminal, and they were more concerned about how I felt than how they felt.
Mm-hmm.
And it touched me like you would not believe. These little people got it going on because they know what's precious.
Really make you appreciate everything, all the blessings that you got, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know if you knew it, Jeff. You know, I got a little boy with Down syndrome. You know, I got 3 boys, but one of them had got Down syndrome. And man, every day it's just you know, he looks, you could be having the worst day in the world and he'll come up to you and, you know, give you a kiss and love on you. And it's almost like he kind of can feel it, you know, he can, and man, he'll just make all that stuff just, you know, huge blessing for me.
Yeah.
You know, to put things in perspective, you know.
I get it. My daughter's a son. She doesn't have Downs, but I get it. That's a highlight of my life right there, you know. Mm-hmm. See that smile. But baby girl, what you want for breakfast? Daddy, you make some of them grits and eggs like I like. Yeah. That's living right there, man.
See, it's some simple things, you know, I guess. I mean, we could sit here and talk about all the things and the dreams that the musicians would love to get to, or maybe, you know, but those real things, that love, you know, that's where it's at. And I guess that also goes back to, you better love what you're doing, you know, that guitar and that singing and stuff, or it's going to show, you know.
Well, but like you said, you be careful what you wish for, because you could be doing it the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So you better love it. I do. I mean, what else do you know would make you sitting here making me? I'm sitting here. I got a brand new single coming out right now. It's already out. Matter of fact, climbing up the independent charts, and I still love it like I've always loved it. It's got to start right there.
Now, are you still on that same label that you were talking about now, or have you started something on your own?
I have my own label. I have my own label. It's called Sky Dancer.
Awesome.
And yeah, I'm independent, and I like it that way.
Yeah, that's great.
Being able to run your own show
now.
Yeah, can't nobody run me off.
Well, you know, but you got, yeah, and I'm sure you do. I'm just saying, you got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, all, you know, the big things and the big videos and all this stuff, you know, all that money. I mean, hey, RCA, you know, and you know, it's just like, say, like a wrestler that got a big push from Vince McMahon and WWE or WWF, you know, whatever, back in the day. I mean, you know, I wouldn't know who Hulk Hogan was if it wasn't for, you know, Vince McMahon and then push that big push, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. But to be able to run your own show, once you get to a certain point, you can go and do your own thing, and you're still remembered and can get new fans based off of, you know, the beginning of that push the extra push you got. You know?
Fortunately, we're living in a day and age right now that if you got talent and you got some good business sense about you, and you're willing to work hard. Like I co-manage a young artist by the name of Thomas Mack. He just hit his 2 millionth follower on TikTok. And then we go in places and people know who he is. You don't necessarily have to have the big record deal and the big monetary push behind you anymore. We got a lot of tools at our disposal, more so now than ever in history, where we can take the middleman out of reaching that fan base.
And you don't necessarily have to worry about being so, I don't know, politically correct and red tape of dealing with some big corporation, dude.
Yeah, true.
Well, that's one of the, what I was going to say was that's positive, but you know what? I'm glad you brought it up. What do you think is not such a good thing about social media and everything? All right. Well, let me tell you what I think, because I think you have a lot more tools and there's a lot of cool things that happened and made that availability to where you didn't have to go through the big machine. But on the other hand, I also think because I can remember even when I first started, people just losing their minds at shows and stuff. And now you've got that pure silence and somebody holding a phone up, you know, hey, clap after the song. Did you enjoy it? You know, kind of thing, you know, or whatever. It's a total different, you know, world there. And then you got people going live and somebody, you know, that probably people that maybe would have come seen you is sitting at home on the couch watching you at their house.
True.
Not coming out to watch you. So I wonder, I even asked it, I think to Schneider, I said, I wonder how far we are from people actually just virtually watching you, you know, instead of coming. That don't replace it for me because I'm a live guy. You know what I mean? I want to be there, you know, but I wonder how far we are from, you know, putting a helmet on or something and watching, you know, Jeff Bates from my kitchen right here, you know, but I'm there, but I'm not really. Yeah.
Well, hopefully somebody's watching us now. But I think that'll always be there, and I think it'll be like a tide, man. It'll ebb and flow. You know, it's like every generation that comes along, they have a certain point. That's where they say, "Wait a minute, I really like Johnny Cash." You know, every generation comes along, they find that stuff. And when they find it, they act like they're the first one that ever heard it in their life. We already knew it was there. So I think there's room for all of it. It's about the tool and how you use it. I think if you're willing to get out there and go play and rough it and if you work smart and you have a good audience and you know what you're doing on building that and you educate yourself on how to, I think you'll be surprised and you'll go do your shows and people will show up. I don't know. I think we're on the precipice of something bigger than we've ever seen. And at the same time, I think there's still a lot of room for what always has been, you know.
The roots to come back up and
the deal is now there's just so many more people doing it at that level because the opportunities there, tools are there. What's the downside of social media? It takes away the mystique, you know. But what turns everybody on right now is the thought that, hey, I can do that too. That's why all these talent shows do really good now. It's not because people want to go root for them. It's because they think they can do that too. That's why the advice is always educate yourself.
YouTube has definitely set the bar really, really high for live full band shows. Yeah. Because everybody now's done heard somebody do it 10 times better on YouTube, you know, or you should sound this way live because that's the way they sounded like, you know, whatever. Right. They don't realize a lot of that stuff's been studio overdubbed or whatever, you know.
Yeah. When it comes down to it, this, it all starts there.
Hell yeah.
You can't connect there, and all the tricks and lights and everything in the world ain't gonna help you no way. What's funny? Here. I'll tell you what's funny was when out on tour with Brooks and Dunn is they were always doing practical jokes. Brad Paisley, huge practical joke. I mean, he will go to the maximum amount of trouble to create to play a joke on you. And Rascal Flatts, those guys could be dangerous. Ronnie and Kicks, they're always in on something. And so, but Brad didn't know me really well. And I found out about this after the fact. He just played a big joke on Ronnie and Kicks, and we're upstate New York, you know. And he'd done played everybody but me. And I'm thinking, he's going to do something. You never, because he might leave you stranded with your bus sitting there smoking and you not know why, you know. Things like that. It go that far out. But I remember he went to Kenny Beard. He says, I got this joke I want to play on Jeff. And I need you to help me make it happen. And Kenny looked at him and says, I don't know. He said, you know, Jeff's been in jail, right? And Brad says, oh yeah. Okay. And never did anything. Never played one on me the whole time we were out there after that. I mean, just never even talked to anybody about it anymore because I wasn't sure how I'd respond to it.
Yeah, he did. Did he not know why you went to jail?
I don't know. Brad's really smart. I'm sure he looked it up and figured it out. But I thought it was funny. It was because he wouldn't pull a practical joke on me because he wasn't quite sure how I'd respond to it. You know, like guys that have gone to jail and been in prison, they automatically a little more dangerous than everybody else, I guess.
Yeah, he aggravated assaulted a fella over here for playing a joke on him, man. He'd like to kill that fella.
Yeah, I never dropped my soap.
How long was that stint? How long were you in there?
That was a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, it was one season. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah.
Where was this at?
What do you mean?
What jail was this at?
Are you talking about how long? Okay, well, I thought how long was I on tour with those guys?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, the jail stint. How long was that?
Jail was 96 days.
Okay. All right.
Long enough.
I'm sure.
In Nashville, Tennessee, Davidson County Jail.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you have a roommate there or a cellmate there?
49 of them. We were in a pod. It was a treatment pod. It was some of the craziest stuff you ever seen in your life. So when I first got arrested, yeah, I was in a little cell, but once I got into the treatment facility, you know, we were right next. All the drug addicts were right next door to anger management, so you had to be careful.
So all right, to go into more detail on that, and I know you've told this a million times, but just for folks that may not know, you sold everything you had, and you ended up selling a friend's guitars, some of his guitars, I think maybe. Yeah. That was Charlie Daniels lead guitars one time, I believe.
Yeah. Mark Matega, yeah. I broke into his house and stole about $25,000 worth of guitars, stuff from him.
And well, he had given you a key to his house as a
Yeah, he trusted
friend.
me. He trusted me with it. I was the only friend he had that he trusted with a key to his house. And it broke his heart. And then he forgave me. And, you know, I became friends with Charlie. Had a blast hanging out with him a few times that I did.
Wow.
And he respected me. Yeah, but it was 96 days in jail and had to make a lot of amends.
Man. I hear from a lot of people, Charlie Daniels, really, really good guy as well. Yeah.
Oh, an amazing guy. Good guy. All the way to the bottom of his boots. You guys want to hear another song?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd love to, man.
I'm going to have to go eat supper.
Yeah, man. It's been great talking with you, but I'd love to hear you play one.
This is new song. And it started out, the title was You know how you spell Just M.
Okay.
Yeah. And so recorded, got ready to release it. And the little girl, the young lady that's promoting it at the radio says, "We're going to change the name of this song because some people ain't going to say it right." And I said, "What do you mean that?" She said, "Because some people might say, or You know, it's all about the delivery. How you going to talk about a song called So we changed it to How You Make Me Feel. But it'll always be to me. I love waking up to those loving eyes. You take my breath in the early morning light. I live every day, every night. You make love to me, and you make it so right. There's no way to describe how you make me feel inside. I love laying down with you warm next to me. You kiss my lips. Oh, baby, you make me weak. Yes, you do. You're all I want. You're all I need. You make me feel so good. Make it hard to speak. There's no way to describe how you make me feel inside. What you do to me is undeniable, undefinable, indescribable. There's no way to describe how you make me feel inside. I miss that guitar lead right there.
Man, thank you. That was great.
Dude,
I
that,
love
that
it.
was awesome. I love that
Thank
song
you, man.
right there now.
You
That's
said
the
that
weirdest
song's
thing
actually
I've
already
done all
out.
years, sang that song to two men.
Well,
I had to make that kind of impression.
Well, I can promise you, we're gonna put this on several platforms and boost it big time. That right there special. That's a special song.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
great, man.
Thank you, man.
That's great. You said that one's already actually out. I mean, can you go
It
download
is.
that now?
It's on. Radio has it now, and if you're a listener and you're watching this show, and go call your radio station and request that'll help me out. And if you want to help you out, go get it off of iTunes and play it for your girl. It's on Spotify and all that stuff.
And you can find out more about Jeff with Jeff Bates, jeffbates.net. And also on Facebook, Jeff Bates Music is the keyword on Facebook as well.
Same thing on Instagram. And I think I got a couple of TikTok videos up there. I always feel goofy doing this.
I got one more question for you, and I'm going to let you eat.
All right.
What's something you want to do before you die that you had now? What's something you'd like to do before you leave? I know we've talked about everything you've done, and of course that stuff's a mile long. But what's one thing you'd like to do that you ain't done? Personally, professionally, it don't matter.
Okay. Probably have a little house on the river somewhere. I know it's crazy, but I like to fish and work on being self-sufficient and that kind of thing there. And just the thought of being able to live a little part of my life like my mama lived the first part of her life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
On the
That's
edge of
not
the river.
silly.
Huh?
That's not silly at all. That's actually right along the lines of something that I've got a kind of a dream for that I want to make happen at some point. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah. That right there. And do it because I want to, not because I have to.
Mm.
Jeff, thank you so much, man.
Yes.
I mean,
Hey, it's great to see you again, brother. Good to see you, Jude.
Great to talk to you, man. We can't thank you enough for the talk and especially the music too, man. Great job.
absolutely.
Got a huge amount of respect for you. Thanks for everything you do. I wish you well on your podcast here. Hope it grows bigger than you can contain.
Thank you, brother. We love you, man, and wish y'all well.
Love you too, brother. God bless y'all. Peace out.
God bless you, brother. Stay
See
safe.
y'all.